Yo, good morning, family. Welcome back to the channel. This your boy S.O.G. Both of these guns have been cleared of any ammunition, so we are working in a safe environment where there is no ammo.
Your ass be loud. Okay, whatever.
Now, before we begin the video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and once this video is over, drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think of the video or of these two in general. Starting with the Echelon 4.0C on my left hand side here, this gun is coming in at about $620 to $650. Now, this is a fairly new release, so prices will fluctuate as the hype just kind of boils over for the release, right? But this is going to be anywhere from $620 to $650. And on my right side, we got the Canik MC9LS. Now, let me just pause on this for a second because a lot of people say meta. This ain't no meta, man. This is mete. This is coming in at about $460 to $485. Diving into the dimensions here, the Canik MC9LS has an overall length of 6.75 and it's got an overall height of 5.43. Now, given with the Echelon 4.0C, this one's got a full length of 7.25 and it's got an overall length height of 5.13. so the Echelon is slightly shorter in terms of height, but it is slightly longer in terms of the length. Now, when we look at the width between these two, the MC9LS comes in at 1.14 and the Echelon 4.0 comes in at 1.2, and of course those are inches in width. Looking at the weight between the two, again, we come to another similarity here. The MC9LS comes in at 23.77 ounces and the Echelon comes in at an exact 24 ounces. As far as the barrel length goes, the MC9LS has a barrel length of 3.64 and the Echelon has a barrel length of 4 inches. So the Echelon does have a slightly longer barrel. Diving into the magazine capacity, both of these you'll get 2 magazines for each one. So the MC9LS will give you 2 17-round mags. The Echelon will give you 1 15-round mag and 1 18-round magazine. It is something to point out that is very nice from both companies to do is that they also textured or stippled the bottom of the magazine plate to match the frame. So that is a big thumbs up to both of these guys to do that for us. Speaking of grip, the Echelon 4.0C has it everywhere. It's got stippling just all around the frame. It's got stippling on all of your manual controls. It's got stippling on the back plate of the gun. It's got stippling underneath the trigger guard. It's got it in front of the trigger guard. Springfield just did an amazing job of going above and beyond to give us texturing on this gun. And the Canik has stippling or grip texture also all around the firearm. However, this is more of the traditional just per panel versus them wrapping it all the way around, and it doesn't have any grip up here like the Echelon does. This does though have some texturing right on the thumb rest, which is very, very nice to have. And you know, needless to say, in my opinion, the grip texturing on the Canik is slightly more aggressive than it is on the Echelon. So I prefer the feel of the Canik's texture more than the Echelon, but I love how much texture they put in the Echelon, and it's unbeatable, man. They knocked it out of the ballpark with all the texture they put on it. And as you guys can see here, both guns give you multiple size backstraps, so depending on your hand size you can adjust. They both give you small, medium, or large. So again, another very good attention to detail by Canik and Springfield on this. The Echelon gives you a nice beaver tail here. This is probably one of my favorite features on this gun, is just this part in general. Is if you guys can see, it's so thick down here but it's so wide right here, and it kind of slims down, and that makes it so that when you grip it, it just kind of, it's like a suction cup to your hand almost. At least that's how it feels like for me. It's just got such a nice feel because it just kind of thins out up here and it fits the hand super nice. But again, it does have a beaver tail here. Looking at the Canik, this one's also got a small beaver tail. Obviously, as you guys can see, it is smaller than the one on the Echelon, but it does function and it works just as good. So again, this is just good stuff by both of these manufacturers. Both firearms are optic ready, and as far as the sights go, as you guys can see here, we'll start with the Echelon. The Echelon does give you 2 options from factory. This is the 3-dot system that they offer, which is what I prefer. Otherwise, you would have the yellow trinium up front and then that white outlined U-notch on the rear. Now the Canik, again, a little more simple. It's got fully blacked out rears, which honestly that's what I prefer, and then it's got a big white dot up front. Now keep in mind that the Canik does not have night sights, but the Echelon does have night sights. Okay, both of these also have the 1913 Picatinny rail, so that you're able to mount just about any light you want. On the Echelon, you do have a loaded chamber indicator, which is just right here. So once you have one in the head, this will actually pop out just a little bit, and you'll actually be able to see a red line just right in there, and that's how you'll know that you got one in the chamber. Now on the Canik, you also get a loaded chamber indicator, and on this one it's just this little bar here that flips up once it detects one in the chamber, and also has a small red section that you can take a look at just for a better visual. So both have loaded chamber indicator. Both of these guns are Ambi, so for all of you left-handed shooters out there, the Canik does a nice job of having the slide release on both sides ready to go for you. The mag release is just on the left side, but you can flip it to have it on this side as well. So fully ambidextrous gun here. Now the Echelon went just a little bit extra on this one because they've got your release on both sides for the slide and for the magazine, so you don't need to because you guys can see you can release it from both sides, so no need to flip that magazine release if you're a left-handed shooter. All right, moving on to my favorite part of all the comparison videos. Let's take a look at the triggers between these two. As you guys know, the Canik just has an unbeatable trigger, but in my opinion the Echelon is not too far behind. So let's take a look at these triggers. Yes, we are clear. This has, as normal, a very long take up, a defined wall, nice rolling smooth break, and the reset is immediate. Very good light trigger, very nice on the Canik. Now let's take a look at the Echelon. We are clear. Now the take up is so much nicer on this Echelon, not because it's less of a travel, but it just feels just smoother, just more buttery, if that makes any sense. There's the wall, nice rolling break as well. The reset also really good. It's not as good as the Canik's, but what gun is out of the box, you know what I mean? So fantastic triggers on both of these guns. Now to wrap up this video, I'm going to discuss any potential issues or concerns that are out there between these two, which I'll tell you right now, there isn't any, at least not that I'm aware of. If you're aware of any potential issues, please put it in the comments. But as far as the Echelon 4.0C and the Canik MC9LS, there is no issues. I have not had any issues. Both have ran flawlessly for me. The Canik has a lot more rounds than the Echelon, and I haven't had an issue with either of the two. They both shoot really good. As far as my shooting experience goes, in my personal opinion, I like the Canik better in terms of shooting, but the Echelon has everything else better on paper. It has obviously better slide serrations, it's got more features, it's fully ambi, it's got more texturing, more grip, it's got a nicer, just nicer gun in general, right? And you get a 15 plus an 18 round mag, all those things. So on paper, the Echelon is just, it seems to be the perfect gun, right? And it arguably so, it's a beautiful gun, but in my shooting experience alone, the Canik shoots flatter and it returns to zero quicker, and that's what's important to me if I'm going to be carrying a gun. Now needless to say, like I said, I got more rounds through the Canik than I do with the Echelon, so it could just be that, you know, I'm just used to it already, and maybe I just got to get used to the Echelon. But in my experience so far, I do like the Canik better, even as like my first time shooting both of these. I remember the Canik was always a good shot for me, and the Echelon also a really good shot, but the Canik just wowed me at first, and the Echelon is a great shooter but did not completely wow me like that. But again, this is just my experience. So maybe y'all had a different experience than I did. But in my opinion, the Canik is a better shooter, but the Echelon just has so many features. It's hard to give up or pass up, I should say, on the Echelon. So if you're looking for either of these two, my suggestion is buy them both, because they're both good guns, man. It's just hard to say one is better than the other. It just depends. Honestly, the only way to choose between these two and have the correct answer for you in terms of which is better is by you going out, taking a look at both, shooting them both, and see which shoots better for you. Now, like I said, I love everything on the Echelon, and I wish all of this stuff that came on this gun was on this one. You know, I love how this looks and functions, but I love how this one shoots and feels. So you can't go wrong with either of these two guns. And I hope that this video was helpful in some way or another. But again, I appreciate you guys for watching as always. And again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. I got a ton of videos that are coming out, and I would really love your guys' support. As always, thank you so much. God bless you guys, and have a great week.